Do you know what made Lorena move? In that situation, speaking briefly, in the past, Lorena's had a hardened resolve. Since she grew up wielding a sword in Beowulf, she knew what the war with the barbarians was like. She was also resolved to take that up. But the barbarian woman seemed too shabbily dressed for the North's cold, while the baby was covered in high-grade fur. The sight of that mother made Lorena move, blocking the knight's sword. "Miss Lorena?" "Why?" the knight asks. Lorena demands to let the child leave and she will take the responsibility. The soldier refuses Lorena's judgment by saying that if even one barbarian survives, they could bring about great damage to our territory and our people, reminding Lorena that even she doesn't have that much authority. Lorena says that the knight's thinking is way too extreme since this little baby hasn't committed any crime yet. "You are knights. How dare you talk back to your master?" Cheryl questions, defending Lorena. The knight tells them to stay out of this, since they are merely guests. He asks them whether they are intending to get in the way of the Beowulf knights in the Beowulf territory. Cheryl questions the knight whether they are not embarrassed to say that killing a baby is their mission. Cruel says that if he lets a baby die, he feels like he would be having nightmares and it'd also leave a bad mark on his reputation. Knight Voss, upon revealing his face, tells Miss Lorena to stop joking around by saying that she would protect the barbarians. "Do you what that means, Miss Lorena?" Voss questions. Jan is perceiving the situation from the sidelines, and it's just as he expected. Conflicts are happening everywhere. The knights that protect the Beowulf territory will never be persuaded because they're not doing things out of emotions or profits. They've lost too much blood for them to not hate the barbarians. No one could easily ask them to forgive the barbarians. Suddenly, Jan senses a familiar yet mysterious energy, and just like that, the chieftain arrives out of the blue. Every knight shouts, telling others and themselves to get ready for the real combat. Upon landing, the chieftain scattered the ground, breaking it into large and small pieces. This landing radiated such immense energy which for a moment startled Lorena. Some knights were cleared off with just the radiation of such energy. The knights weren't expecting the chieftain to attack with such an abrupt manner. The chieftain named Kabur lifts up a knight and asks whether they kill his family and tribe people. Kabur says that it's time for them to feel the same pain, which they inflicted previously, and slowly but painfully, he starts to smash the knight's skull with his bare hands. Immediately, from the back, Lorena initiates her first attack, but to her surprise, her sword was blocked, and the tip of the sword broke as it reached Kabur. Kabur's mere head was enough to block the sword. After that, both of the fighters change blows and the chieftain overpowers Lorena. The attacks were fast and Lorena is dodging them. Meanwhile, 3 knights charge in and attack the chieftain with spears. The knights tell Lorena to run, and Voss says sorry to Lorena for his rude behavior earlier. He has that it seems that this is the end of the journey for them. He says that he is extremely sorry as he raised his voice against Lorena. Lastly, before his head gets severed by the enemy, he wishes Lorena a healthy life. Lorena is stunned after seeing this. Chieftain, without further lingering, goes to attack Lorena. At that moment, Yan uses the power of Black Wolf, which scratches the enemy. Chieftain gets astonished as he couldn't fathom what has happened. Coldly enough, Yan speaks up that this scratch is nothing for making a big fuss, as very soon he will split Kabur's body into 2 mystic tattoos. The barbarian chieftains have marks on their bodies known as mystic tattoos. The mystic tattoos which the barbarians have created for them to use mana is a tattoo that replaces an energy core. The tattoos on their bodies use mana from their skin and muscles directly. It also greatly strengthens their bodies. Adding onto their trained skills, their attacks are unimaginably destructive. Jan says that the chieftain's body is tougher than he had imagined. While Yan was attacking, both Cruel and Lorena shouted that they would join too, but, to their surprise, upon attacking their swords, entangled. Cruel reminds Lorena that he told her previously to stay out of this. Their nemesis taunts them by saying that they are pathetic, as they are so unskilled. Kabur pushes them back with mere strength. Our swords didn't even leave a mark. Is he really human? Cruel asks. Lorena says that the knights are all in a state of confusion due to Kabur's sudden appearance. So, they must be the ones to deal with him. In the meantime, Cheryl comes running, telling everyone that she has relocated the baby somewhere safer. Cruel blames Lorena by saying that if it weren't for her interference, he would have sliced the enemy down in one move. He insists Lorena to take the role of supporter so that he can be the one attacking. They started to fight like kids. Cruel reminds Lorena that she has badly lost against him during their last training. Lorena says that she wants him to try it in real life so that he can look how it goes. After listening to this, Jan shouts as he tells both of them to calm down, because acting like this isn't helping when the enemy is right in front of them. Not helping? Jan, it sounds to me like you're saying you can defeat him by yourself, Lorena asks. Jan replies that he has never said anything like that, but she is not wrong when she said that, though. What's that? Lorena asks. Jan replies that this isn't the time to be quarreling among ourselves. The chieftain might attack any time. With that saying, the chieftain has already made the move. Jan tells everyone to get away from the attack range. Kabur says that he would kill all of them and make them dead meat. Cruel and Lorena are currently attacking the enemy. Meanwhile, on the sidelines, Jan perceives that they won't be able to defeat him like this. Both Lorena and Cruel are pretty strong, but since they are trying to attack in their own way, they've created dissonance. By seeing her friend's struggles, Cheryl decides to help them, but Jan tries to stop her by saying that it's useless, even if she joins now. Yet, Cheryl goes to give backup nevertheless. Then Jan starts thinking that Cheryl going there will do more good than bad. Upon reaching there, Cheryl tells Lorena that she would assist her, so she can attack the enemy to her heart's content. With that, the flow of the battle has changed with Cheryl's participation. Kabur noticed the change and is flustered right now. Cheryl's attacks aren't special, they're just simple dagger and hidden weapon techniques. But those little attacks were able to slip into the music sheet that consisted of notes, trying to do their own thing and is connecting the dissonance. Not bad. Not bad at all. It's actually incredible to think she had such talent. It made Jan think about why he had never heard of her in his past life. Why was that the case, he wonders. Cheryl suggests that they should attack with full power. They all start to attack, and the attacks are actually working this time. Kabur's defenses are getting weak, and seeing this opportunity, Jan made his move. He uses Dark Soul 15th form, Dark Soul Demolition Uppercut, along with Dark Soul 15th reverse form, Dark Soul Fate Defier, which was a fatal blow. The enemy kneels down for a moment, and the fight is about to reach its climax, or so it seems. Kabur had another card to play from the very beginning. He says that it won't let this end just like this, and escapes as if he is teleported. Wait. What was that? Did he just run away? Lorena asks. Cruel says that he is speechless, and as expected, the barbarians are shameless. Lorena says that it's a pity they lost him, but she is glad that they are all safe. She decides to go back and report back to the Knight Captain. At that moment, they all notice that Jan is missing, and they all assume that he has gone after the enemy alone. In the next scene, Kabur is walking while taking the support of the trees as he is heavily wounded. He says that a mere wound like this can't be compared to the pain of losing his tribesmen. He makes up his mind that he will survive and avenge his tribesmen as he was walking. Jan speaks up, complimenting Kabur that it was really cool-headed for him to run away. His decision to run away was the correct judgment, because if he did that a little later, it wouldn't have been easy to run away. Lastly, Jan concludes that winning is all about surviving. Kabur asks Jan, Since when did he catch up? Jan reassures the chieftain by saying that he has no intention of killing him, and Jan will let him go if he tells Jan a few things. Vilai, do you know anything about him? Like, where is he right now? Jan asks coldly. After hearing this, Kabor's countenance changes. He coldly tells Jan to keep quiet and aggressively attacks Jan. The chieftain says that someone like Jan doesn't have the right to utter this name. Jan asks Kabor whether he is determined to die, while activating the power of Black Wolf. Kabor delivers many punches at Jan, but Jan dodges it. The enemy says that despite fighting him with 4 people, Jan couldn't even injure him. More importantly, he says that anyone who is going after Vilai must be killed. Upon fighting, the chieftain reminiscing about his past chat with the commander chieftain. Previously, Commander Chieftain told Kabur that he wanted to create a better world and wanted his assistance. Jan decides to use magic, so he uses the attack Surge Forth, Walls of Great Earth, which unleashes the power of Stone Wall, and Kabur is in trouble. Or so it seems, as in the next moment, he cuts the stone wall with his bare hands. "Is your hidden card just playing mere dirt?" Kabur shouts as he grabs Jan and is going to unleash a final attack. At that moment, the hidden card appeared. In fact, Momon introduces herself as the hidden card while using lightning which pierces half of Kabur's body. "Yan, do you get it now? The fact that you absolutely need me?" Momon asks. Moreover, she says that she has already taught Jan that his magic would become weak if he doesn't have imagination. What was with that weak magic? "Are you seriously my apprentice?" she questions while preparing for a second attack. She says that it's been a while since she has been in a fight, so it feels great. During his last moments, he says sorry to Commander Chieftain, as he was not able to keep to the vow that he made under the setting sun. So he wishes the commander to create a better world without him. Meanwhile, Momon asks Jan if he seriously had a hard time because of this lousy barbarian. Jan replies that this barbarian wasn't lousy. In fact, he was quite strong. "Why? Why do all of you go so far to kill our tribe? All we've done was struggle while trying to survive in this harsh land." "Are you guys trying to completely exterminate us?" Kabur asks while taking his very last few breaths. Jan states that Beowulf is also struggling to survive against a strong foe like him. Kabur replies that calling him strong when Jan is the one who won is one kind of a joke. Jan reassures Kabur by saying that he meant every single word. Jan says that the chieftain is strong and a proud warrior. Then, the chieftain asks for a favor. He says that he saw Jan's people taking away a child of his tribe. That's the last bloodline of his tribe. So he tells Jan to show it mercy. Jan praises Kabur by saying that he is still worried about his tribe even when he is on the verge of death. He tells the chieftain not to worry, because the person who took the child is kind. She won't let him live as a slave. After hearing this, the reassured chieftain takes out a necklace. He says that this is the symbol of a chieftain, and it'll become a token of promise. The bone necklace, a symbol of a chieftain. To receive this means that Jan inherited the chieftain's will. While there's no need for him to keep his promise to a dying man, but he accepts it while thinking that he doesn't want to ignore this promise. Lastly, he smiles as he says these last words to create a better world. Jan says that he hopes that Kabur will be born in a good place in his next life. The news of the battle reaches the Beowulf castle. "Great job, everyone. We've neutralized 2 of our enemy's bases in this battle. We also defeated one of their chieftains. This wasn't done by one person. It was done by all of us who have shed blood." Heavy-armored knight Captain William declares the celebration of defeating their enemies as he raises the mug. While everyone is celebrating, Lorena is looking quite gloomy. "Miss Lorena, are you all right?" Captain William asks. He says that he is glad that Lorena is safe and to think she killed the chieftain. Lorena replies that she didn't do that. Captain William questions Lorena whether she is sad because of those who died, and he assumes that Lorena is not used to such celebrations. He tells her not to be sad. He says that they were knights of the North, knights of the Beowulf household. Those who are oblivious would say that knights are noble and honorable, but anyone who wields a sword is human. Those who became knights to fight to their death have died a great death in the battlefield as a knight. Moreover, talking about Voss. William says that he is sure Voss was satisfied because he was able to protect Lorena from an enemy and died an honorable death after all. At that moment, William tries to lighten the mood by saying that he would like to die for Lorena too, but he can't die because he is too strong. In addition, he is envious of Voss. Lastly, William talks about the barbarian child. He says that since Lorena were the one who made the exception to bring it back, he will close an eye. After hearing this, Lorena gets relieved, but that didn't last long, because in an instant, William tells Lorena that she mustn't regard it as human. It's simply a beast. "Do you understand?" William asks coldly. The question makes Lorena furious. She tells William that he has gone overboard with his words. William defends himself by saying that the child is no different from a beast. In fact, it's dangerous. Internal unrest is always scarier than external enemies. If you don't do anything about it, this could become a danger that threatens the Beowulf household in the future. Why can't you see that? Miss Lorena, the captain asks. Lorena replies that she will take full responsibility. She says that the Beowulf household is strong. It's not so weak that it would fall because of one human. After hearing about responsibilities, certain scenes come to William S. mind, which makes him clench his teeth. He tells Miss Lorena not to think of responsibility as something she can easily speak of, because even if the territory doesn't fall, human lives are fragile. Will you also be able to take responsibility for the sadness of the bereaved family that's left behind? He asks harshly. Lastly, the captain says that he is giving advice and he hopes Miss Lorena will reconsider it. Lorena says that she knows Captain William is a merciful person. Then why is he acting so cruel just because of a barbarian child? Lorena demands to know the answer while pouting. At that moment, Hans appears because he was hearing some shouting. Lorena explains that it looks like William is mad because she bought that child of the barbarian tribe back. How dare he get mad at you? Does he think he's so great just because he's a captain? Hans questions angrily. Lorena tells Hans to calm down. Hans says that he hopes Miss Lorena will be generous and understand William because there is a reason why he is acting that way. About 30 years ago. It was a time when there was an all-out war with the barbarians even bigger than the current war. A certain young knight faced a barbarian child in a subjugated tribe that was on fire. That child didn't have any weapons and was withstanding the coldness with just his body. He took in the child despite those around him, dissuading him against it. Hans, too, was against that idea, but that child was let into a mansion within the territory. Eventually, the knight was frequently out of the house due to the subjugation missions, and so his fiancée was the one who looked after the child. The two of them gave their all to look after that child that year. They believed that their love could rehabilitate the child, but in the end, the child killed the knight's fiancée and ran away. The young knight found his dead fiancée at a much later time. The young knight cried in front of his wife because he was not there when his wife needed him the most. He blamed himself for this because he wasn't by her side. If he had been home, he could have prevented that. Lorena concludes that it's a horrible experience. Hans says that after that, the young knight became the knight captain and would later show no mercy to any barbarian, even if they are a child. Lorena has already guessed who Hans is talking about and gets clearance when Hans replies that the young knight was none other than William. That day he cried tears of absolute rage. Lorena feels a little guilty, as she said so many things to William without knowing about his past. Additionally, Hans states that William wasn't the only one. The other knights also had their family members or comrades die at the hands of the barbarians. After hearing all of this, Lorena blames herself for not being worthy of handling such things. Hans tells her not to blame herself too much. In the back, Jan was listening to every conversation. He thinks that the knight captain will never back down then, but he needs a way to keep his promise to Kabur. Shockingly enough, Hans adds that the story doesn't end here. He says that someone's trying to unite the barbarians right now. The person standing in the center of that is the commander-chieftain of the barbarians, Vilai. More importantly, he was the barbarian child William took in. Why is that name appearing here? Jan wonders. Jan tried so hard to find out about Vilai, but he couldn't find anything, and to think Vilai is related to the Beowulf territory. They probably did everything they could to cover this up, and that's why Jan couldn't find any information, and now it's all making sense. For Jan, this is an unexpected gain which will help him in tracking down Vilai. Hans tells Lorena to take a breather and come back because he knows it will be hard on her. Lorena states that she will take care of everything. Hans refuses by saying that William will never forgive a barbarian and asks what other methods does Lorena have to deal with this situation. At that time, Jan appears and conveys that he has a way, and both of them are just overthinking a simple problem. A simple problem? How? Lorena repeats. Jan tells Lorena to stop worrying because it's actually a simple problem. Hans conveys that though Jan might be a friend of Miss Lorena, he is still an outsider, so he should please refrain from interfering with their territory's affairs. Jan smirks while saying that he will tell Hans a simple solution to this problem. What's that? Hans inquiries. Jan explains that they just need to persuade Count Beowulf and get his permission. He's the absolute ruler of the North, and if he allows it, then no one would dare oppose it. Nonsense! He will never allow it! And who would even dare to speak of this to the Count? Hans asks rudely. Lorena speaks up by saying that she will do it. She will talk to the patriarch, meaning she will persuade her father, and she will accept whatever her father decide. While walking, William thinks whether he was too harsh on Lorena, and maybe she hates him now. But then he realizes that he must stop the same incident happening again. As he is walking, he notices a flag and wonders why a flag is raised at this time. He says that it's the flag of the Frost Knights. Frost Knights are Beowulf First Knights. Apparently, he knows that the Frost Knights went out on a subjugation mission with the Patriarch. Have they returned? He asks. William, you don't look so good. Are you worried about something? Keon the Frost Knights captain asks upon arriving. William greets Captain Keon since he has finally returned and they haven't seen each other for a long time. But then, William gets a little shocked when he realizes that if the Frost Knights are back, clearly means that the Count Beowulf might have returned as well.